the danger is in spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing is to just ignore what arises and just dismiss it as it's not. There's not a me, and it's not happening to anyone. If you're asked by your partner to do the washing up, and you just say, "Well, I'm not. There's no me here to do the washing up," then that's spiritual bypassing, isn't it? I tried it didn't work. No. So yeah, that
I've simplified it a bit there. So I guess I don't mean it in a derogatory sense of spiritual bypass. Oh, nothing phases me, but almost
sure.
We're going over the story, or we're bypassing the story.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is a danger. So what you've been given is the awareness of not doing that, which is what you're saying, really. You've been given that, so I guess I'm mirroring that back to you. And I think we spoke last week about, where for any individual, where there's work to be done in ironing out events and things like localized trauma in the body, or tapes that keep playing, patterns, I think is the word that I've started using recently. When we keep seeing patterns play out, resources and tools for transfiguring those, if you like, turning them over to the light, just as we do, and writing in a journal, inventory is one. You go in shadow, don't you, caught by something, and you transfigure the thread of it by moving through, or having all that is redundant about it subtracted, so that what remains is knowingness, but also there's a knowing of, because within our sense of beingness and the stillness, the world is still seeming to occur. So we do have to attend to it. Within the non-dual, there is the dual. So, we're in the world, but not of the world. So to have highlighted what still serves when we're in the world, you have to go to work, you have to carry out the tasks of work. So we go and do that, and that will all, because everything is a creation of what we are, that will all mirror to us what is functional and what's no longer functional. And as we all know, what is no longer functional often appears as getting snagged and getting caught and getting triggered, as people say now. Or in 12-step language, we say that a resentment caught me. We like to think that a copped a resentment, but really the resentment cops us, It cops us and it traps us, enslaves us in a pattern that's, within the self, seeking its own absolution and dissolvement, by things going smoothly. So, to be fair, we can't really bypass all of that, can we? Because if we do imagine that we're above that, or even if we just try to just shift ourselves along that, or if we do ignore the work that needs to be done, then it's going to keep happening. The pattern's going to keep being a pattern, isn't it? It's a pattern, so it's like, it just keeps revolving. Does that make sense? So the short answer is no. Yeah, but that is a danger, a very excellent intuition that you've been offered there. It's wonderful, yeah. I love it that, in the phrase, in the world, I'm going to say, and not of the world, it's a biblical phrase. I'm not sure if it's the Apostle Paul or whether the Christ character said it, him or herself. But there is a phrase of to be in the world, we are in the world, but not of the world. It sounds more like the Apostle Paul. But I think the most important part of that statement is and. That both seem to be experiences happening. As we grow towards our sense of what we're talking about here, that sense of absoluteness, of beingness and stillness, we become much more, using the word, embodied in that. we go from meditation is a great example, isn't it? We realize in this path that we go from being a person who sits in meditation, realize that the idea of the person or the thought stream is distinct from the person who's knowing the thought stream, as you said, object and observer and observed. And then it shifts, doesn't it, by repeated exposure to the teaching. If the invitation excites us and we feel to explore truth in this way, then we become there's a shifting and a pointless point at which we become much more embodied and live out of meditation and the observation of the objects, rather than being an object called a personality, trying to get into objectlessness in meditation.